Helen just got divorced. Her ex cheated. She lost the baby she always wanted, and every promise she made to herself has been broken. So she does what any desperate woman would do. She signs up for a backcountry survival course where every step hurts and every night is freezing. But nothing prepared her for the one person she'd find out there, the guy who's been in love with her all along. Welcome back to Scene Summary. Today, I'm going to show you a heartfelt romantic dramedy about rediscovering yourself when life feels stuck. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. Meet Helen. She's standing in a dingy motel room in Connecticut, wondering what the hell she's doing here. She's 40-something, recently divorced, and about to spend the next 2 weeks hiking through some of the most brutal terrain on the Appalachian Trail with a bunch of strangers half her age. This wasn't the plan. The plan was to have a family, a stable marriage, a life that made sense. Instead, she got a cheating husband, a miscarriage, and a divorce that still stings more than a year later. So here she is, trying to prove something. To who? Herself. Mostly. But here's the thing. Helen's not alone in this journey. And not just because there's a hiking group. There's someone else on this trip. Someone she never expected to see. Someone who's about to make this journey way more complicated than she bargained for. But to understand how she got here, we need to go back a few days. Helen's at her younger brother Duncan's place, dropping off her house keys. Duncan's going to house sit while she's gone. As she pulls up, she spots someone standing outside. Jake, Duncan's best friend since 8th grade. The air gets weird immediately. Not bad weird, just weird. Jake's always been around, always in the background of Helen's life, lingering at the edges of family gatherings, showing up at birthdays, being Duncan's constant +1. But Helen never paid much attention. He was just her little brother's buddy, 10 years younger, not even on her radar. Her phone buzzes. It's Mike, her ex-husband. He's texting to remind her that today would have been their 6th wedding anniversary. The message hits like a punch to the gut. She doesn't respond. Instead, her mind flashes back to that day, the wedding, the white dress, the optimistic smiles. Duncan had been by her side, protective and skeptical. Jake was there too, watching from the crowd. Both of them exchanged looks that said everything they couldn't say out loud. This guy isn't right for you. Turned out, they were right. Mike's clumsiness wasn't charming. It was a warning sign. His lack of awareness wasn't endearing. It was a red flag. But Helen didn't see it then. Or maybe she did, and she ignored it. Either way, here she is now, divorced, childless, starting over at an age when she thought she'd have her life figured out. Before heading to the trail, Helen makes a stop. She visits Gigi, her grandmother, the woman who raised her, the woman who's been her anchor since childhood. Their reunion is warm, filled with laughter, and the kind of easy affection that only comes from years of shared history. Gigi doesn't ask too many questions. She just hugs Helen tight and tells her to be safe. Helen promises she will, but as she drives away, she wonders if she's lying. The next morning, Helen arrives at the orientation for the backcountry survival course. The room is full of eager young people with expensive hiking gear and too much enthusiasm. The guide's name is Beckett. Mid-20s, ridiculously energetic, the kind of guy who thinks sleeping on rocks is fun. He starts going around the room, asking everyone to introduce themselves. There's Wendy, not Wendy, she clarifies. Wendy with an I. She's 28, outdoorsy, full of optimism. Her brother broke his leg on this same course last year, but she's convinced it was his fault. There's Hugh, older, probably in his 50s, thrilled to find another old person in the group. He's an aspiring actor turned insurance salesman, here to luxuriate in pain and frustration. His words, not mine. There's Mason, 28, Wall Street trader, way too confident for someone who's about to spend 2 weeks shitting in the woods. He's been hiking since he was a baby, he says. Beckett already looks annoyed. Then it's Helen's turn. She starts simple, name, occupation, hometown. But then something breaks open. She admits she's here because of her divorce. Because her ex cheated, because she had a miscarriage and lost the family she dreamed of building, because life took a toll and she didn't even realize it until she was drowning. The room goes quiet. Even Beckett doesn't know what to say. He just tells her to take a seat. And then the last person introduces himself, Jake. Helen's head snaps up. Her stomach drops. What the hell is he doing here? He explains that he used to be a doctor but isn't practicing anymore. He doesn't say why. Helen stares at him, confused and suddenly very uncomfortable. After the meeting, she confronts him. Why is he here? Is he following her? Jake insists. It's a coincidence. He signed up months ago. Had no idea she'd be here. Helen doesn't buy it, but there's nothing she can do. They agree to keep their distance, pretend they don't know each other, keep it professional, but that plan falls apart almost immediately. The hike starts the next day, 50 miles through Connecticut and New York. Rugged terrain, no real amenities, just nature, pain, and the constant threat of blisters. Within the first hour, Helen slips on a rock and slices her leg open. Blood everywhere. Panic sets in. Jake rushes over. He cleans the wound, wraps it with practiced efficiency, and even manages to congratulate her on the divorce with a smirk that's equal parts annoying and charming. Helen wants to be mad, but she's too busy trying not to cry from the pain. As they continue, the group learns the rules of backcountry hiking. Don't step on logs. Set up bear hangs to keep food away from wildlife. Follow the trail markers. Respect nature. Helen finds it exhausting. Every rule feels like another reminder of how unprepared she is, how out of her depth. That night, she shares a tent with Wendy, who immediately confesses she has a crush on Jake. Helen rolls her eyes. Jake's still a boy in her mind. Irresponsible, immature, not worth the attention. But the next morning, when her feet are covered in blisters from wearing the wrong shoes, Jake is the one who kneels down to help. He bandages her feet without judgment, without making her feel stupid. Beckett blames Mason for pushing the group too hard. Mason brushes it off. Wendy tries to keep morale high, and slowly, the group starts opening up to each other. Hugh talks about his failed acting career. Mason brags about his Wall Street success. Wendy shares stories about her brother's broken leg. And Jake keeps watching Helen, always hovering, always nearby. One day, she finally asks him why. Why does he keep staring? Why does he care so much? Jake hesitates. Then he admits the truth. He's worried she's going to go back to Mike. He doesn't think he measures up. Not to Mike. Not to the kind of man Helen deserves. The confession hangs in the air. Helen doesn't know what to say. She's not used to this version of Jake. Vulnerable, honest, real. After 10 days of hiking, Beckett changes the plan. He splits the group into smaller sections based on pace, hoping to encourage bonding and patience. Before they split up, Beckett finds a piece of paper on the ground. It's a handwritten list. Goals, dreams, aspirations. He reads it aloud, mocking whoever wrote it. No one steps forward. Helen stays silent, cheeks burning. It's hers. Jake catches her eye, wordlessly letting her know he knows. He slips her a folded note without drawing attention. Later, while most of the group studies the map, Hugh decides to balance on an old decaying log. It snaps. He falls. His leg breaks. Mason freezes. Helen runs to get help. Night falls before Helen catches up with the lead group. She shares a tent with Jake. In the darkness, she finally opens up about something she's never told anyone outside her family. Her middle brother, Nathan. When she was 6 and he was 5, they were at a friend's lake house. Nathan wanted to see the boats. Helen wanted to watch a movie with the other kids. Nathan went alone. Nobody noticed. They found him later that night, drowned. Helen's voice cracks as she talks. She's carried this guilt her entire life. Why didn't she go with him? Why didn't she get their parents to take him? After Nathan died, her mother unraveled. Her parents divorced. Her mother dropped Helen and Duncan off at Gigi's house one day and never came back. Jake listens without judgment. He tells her she was 6. She couldn't have known. But Helen can't let go of the guilt. The tension between them shifts. Jealousy flares. Helen's annoyed that Jake kissed Wendy during a game of truth or dare. Jake's frustrated that Helen still responds to Mike's messages. But underneath it all, there's something else, something neither of them is ready to name. At dawn, the group fashions a stretcher from branches and blankets. They carry Hugh 3 miles to where an ambulance is waiting. That night, the group gathers to celebrate. The mood is lighter. Everyone's laughing. Helen notices Jake is missing. She goes to find him. When she does, he pulls her into a hug. Then quietly, he tells her something he's been hiding. He has retinitis pigmentosa, a genetic condition that's slowly stealing his eyesight, especially in low light. That's why he couldn't find his glasses in the dark. That's why he quit medicine. He feels lost, doesn't know who he is anymore. Helen holds him, tells him he's not lost. She knows about being lost. He's not alone. They lean toward each other. The moment almost becomes something more, but Wendy interrupts, calling for them. The next day, back at the motel, there's karaoke and farewell festivities. But Helen overhears that Jake might have someone waiting for him back home. Hurt and confused, she drives to Gigi's. Later, she finally reads the poem Jake gave her earlier on the trip. It's a love poem. The words hit her like a wave. She realizes he's been carrying these feelings for years. Gigi sees the change in Helen. Gently, she suggests that the journey has led Helen to love. Duncan shows up. Helen apologizes for not being the sister she should have been. She promises to do do better. Duncan, ever supportive, insists she come to a birthday celebration that night. At the party, Jake appears. Helen's surprised. Their eyes meet. Jake takes a breath and confesses. He's been in love with her for years, quietly, patiently, waiting. Helen doesn't hesitate. She kisses him, a real kiss, one that feels like both an ending and a beginning. The movie closes with a montage of Beckett leading new groups of hikers through the trails, his passion and energy infectious. And Helen? She's found something she didn't know she was looking for. Not just love, not just healing, happiness, the kind you choose, the kind you build, the kind that starts with forgiving yourself. Would you take a chance on someone you never saw coming? Subscribe to Scene Summary for more stories that'll make you believe in second chances. Hit that notification bell and drop a like if this one made your heart feel something.